Hi BookTube, it's Janet, and today I'm doing the autumn book tag. It's a little bit late because we are slap bang in the middle of autumn already, but we've still got a month to go. So I thought I would get this tag finally filmed and uploaded. So the first question is books that you plan to read over the autumn. So I've already been taking part in a couple of book buddy-a-thons and spookathons over autumn, and so those videos are already up. Only one book that I'm setting myself the challenge to complete, if not before the end of autumn, but before the end of this year, and I've been saying I'm going to read it for ages. I've had the book on my shelf for years. The film is one of my favourite films of all time. Everybody on BookTube seems to have now read it, and that is Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell. And I know what it is. It's the big book fear that I've got, and it's completely ridiculous because I know I'm going to love it. All the booktubers that I sort of seem to have similar tastes with absolutely love this book. Like I said, I love the film. So if it kills me, this is the book that I will finish before, if not the end of autumn, the end of the year. Question 2 is, autumn means back to school and your back to school memories. What book did you enjoy reading in school, or your favourite and your least favourite subject? So least favourite subject was PE, maths, physics, anything sort of that's sort of, I am stereotypically bookish. Favourite subjects were English, obviously, history, French, and probably biology and chemistry as well. So I loved all of those, but anything mathematical and just didn't do for me. And the favourite books that I read at school, I was introduced to Roald Dahl at school, and also when I was younger, now only those of you probably were born before 1980 will remember this, there used to be a programme called Jackanory on. And so when you come home from school, the children's TV would be on for about an hour and a half in the afternoon, and every day there would be Jackanory where a famous actor would be reading an adaptation or sort of an abridged version of a children's book. And you'd get like 15 minutes every day, and you'd get great things like you'd get Roald Dahl books, you would get all the great classics. So that sort of got me interested into reading for myself, and that probably introduced me to Roald Dahl. And one of the ones that absolutely stuck out in my mind was reading Danny the Champion of the World. Now to me it seemed like a huge book when I was a young child. And I remember like in the school library I found it, and I heard of Roald Dahl and I read it, and it absolutely blew my mind. And then obviously then I moved on to James and the Giant Peach and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and all of those books, and they were just absolutely magical and still are magical. I used to read a lot of Enid Blyton as well as a child. Couldn't get enough of things like The Children of the Faraway Tree and The Wishing Chair, The Secret Seven. I never actually read any Famous Five, but Secret Seven. And one of the books that I have recently bought a copy of and I absolutely adored was Charlotte's Web by E.B. White. And I remember sobbing my heart out at the end of this book, but absolutely loving Wilbur and Fern. So that was my school experience. Question 3. October means Halloween. Do you enjoy, or what are your favourite scary books or films? Growing up in the 80s, it was all like the Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween series of films, and I kind of watched them, but I can't say that I enjoy horror films at all. I quite like a good psychological thriller, but anything like Saw or anything like that I just can't watch. I do like reading gripping thrillers of books, but I can't say I've read much in the horror genre. One I did read this year was Carrie by Stephen King. And I actually really enjoyed that. It was really, really good, very well written, very gripping, so there was that one. But also, books that have scared me are things like Into the Darkest Corner by Elizabeth Haynes. And this is so subtle in the way it scares you. It's the story of a woman who has developed obsessive compulsive disorder. And as you go through the story, you realise it's because of this relationship that she'd had with a man, had made her feel very sort of isolated from her friends and her family, totally controlled her. She'd managed to get away from him, but she still had these feelings that he was around and he was watching her, and rightly so. And things like her obsessive compulsive disorder would mean that she had to have all the knives and forks in her drawer lined up perfectly, and then she'd come home from work and one of the forks would be slightly askew, and she knew that he was after her, and it is absolutely amazing. It's one of them that you cannot put down. You're thinking about it, you worry for it. I can't recommend this highly enough. It's fantastic. And one of the other books that may scare the bejesus out of you is Bird Box by Josh Malerman. And this is sort of like a dystopian book where people start to suddenly kill themselves in really, really violent ways by looking at something outside, but you never really know what it is they're looking at, because if you look at it, you'll do it too. So it's that, it sort of plays on that fear of the unknown and the bogeyman around the corner, so there's that one. The next question is, with November, Bonfire Night and fireworks, what book kept you gripped? And there's a couple of these, but recently I read Only Ever Yours by Louise O'Neill, and again this was amazing. I couldn't put it down. It's a young adult dystopian novel where there are 3 types of girls, and basically girls are born 3-to-1 ratio for the boys, and they get sent away to a school to be bred for certain purposes, which as you go through your school life will be determined at the end, and you're either going to be a concubine, say no more, a companion, which you get to be the wife, or a chastity, where you get to be a teacher. And it takes those messages that we have in our society to be thin, to be pretty, to compete with each other as women for the attention of a boy. It takes that to the extreme, but it's absolutely brilliant. Absolutely, absolutely. Can't say absolutely enough. It's so good. And another book that kept me gripped that I read a few years ago is The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. And again, this is set in the Cemetery of Lost Books, and it's a bit of a thriller, it's a bit of a mystery. It just says, hidden in the heart of the old city of Barcelona is a cemetery of forgotten books, a labyrinth library of obscure and forgotten titles. To this library, a man brings his 10-year-old son Daniel one cold morning in 1945. Daniel is allowed to choose one book, and from the dusty shelves he pulls The Shadow of the Wind by Julian Carax. But as Daniel grows up, several people seem inordinately interested in his find. What begins as a case of literary curiosity turns into a race to find the truth behind the life and death of Julian Carax, and to save those he left behind. And it's just a rapid page turner. So yeah, so that's a great one. The next question is, what book is your favourite or cosy comfort read? I absolutely love a little bit of cosy crime. Anything by Agatha Christie is a great cosy read. I do like also the Agatha Raisin books by MC Beaton. I have a lot of those on my Kindle that I just like to read. You can get through them really quickly. But also some of the books for a cosy, lovely read is, one of the books I loved was The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society by Mary Ann Schaffer. And this is an epistolary novel set in the Second World War, when Guernsey were occupied by the Germans, and it's sort of like the little tiny rebellion that the islanders have, and it's just so lovely and heartwarming. The characters are fantastic, so thoroughly recommend that one. It's only a little book, so it's a quick read. I also love a bit of chick lit as well as a comfort read. Anything by Marion Keyes, Carol Matthews, Tricia Ashley, and one of the books I've got on my TBR shelf is Cecilia Ahern, The Year I Met You. On the back it says, the year that changed my life. For Jasmine, losing her job felt like losing everything. The year I found home. With a life built around her career and her beloved sister Heather, suddenly her world becomes the house and garden she has hardly seen and the neighbours she has yet to meet. The year I met you. Being fired is just the beginning. In the year that unfolds, Jasmine learns more about herself than she could ever imagine, and more about other people than she ever dreamed. Sometimes friendship is found in the most unexpected places. So something like, you know, just a nice, lovely read, like, you know, is great for a comfort read. Also, a favourite comfort read is You Can't Go Wrong with a bit of Jane Austen, and Pride and Prejudice, obviously, is one of the best books ever written, ever. This is a bit of a difficult question for me to answer. It says, curled up with a good book, what is your hot drink of choice? I don't like hot drinks. and I know this is probably a bit of a shocker for BookTube because everybody seems to love curling up with a nice cup of tea and a book, but I hate tea, I hate coffee, I don't drink hot drinks. At a push, I will drink a hot Vimto, but my drinks of choice are probably a Diet Coke or wine. Nothing wrong with a glass of wine in a book. And then the final question is, are there any plans you're looking forward to over autumn? Well, over autumn, I do love autumn. It's my birthday in autumn. You've probably just seen some birthday book hauls, so that's always something nice for me to look forward to. Both my children are off at uni now, so although I love them and I miss them, I'm really enjoying having some time to myself. And me and my husband have not lived together for 7 years because he's worked away, so that's quite nice. And one thing I love about autumn is I love a lovely rainy day, and so that's a perfect excuse to light candles, get some blankets, hunker down, read a good book. I love all the colours of the leaves on the trees, so yeah, it's definitely a lovely time of the year to read. So that's it for my autumn book tag. Sorry it's a bit late, and love to hear if you've read any of these and what you think, particularly any thoughts on Gone with the Wind to encourage me to pick it up and get started. So keep reading, and I'll see you all soon. Bye!